Okay, welcome back. We're going to do a little tutorial here on how to find the length of a missing side. So as you learned from the Pythagorean Theorem, we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but I don't want you to get confused here about letters. All that means is we have the leg squared plus another leg squared equals the hypotenuse squared. So it's like we have these blanks. Blank squared plus blank squared equals blank squared. And I'm going to fill those in with the legs on this side of the equation and the hypotenuse on this side of the equation. So when I see this, I say, oh, it says A, but A does not go in that spot. This is a hypotenuse which is directly across from the right angle. So don't get confused about the letters. You want to look at the sides to make up your equation. So if I had 6 squared plus 8 squared equals the hypotenuse squared, which is in this case A, what would be my side length A? Now, I said these were the legs. Why didn't I write 8 squared plus 6 squared? Well, actually it doesn't make any difference, and I'll show you that when we get to the end. So 6 squared is 6 times 6 is 36. 8 times 8 is 64 equals a squared, and then I add these two together, so I'll just drop it down here. 36 plus 64, 6 plus 4 is 10, 3 plus 6 is 9, plus 1 more is another 10. So I have 100 equals a squared. So what is a? I just square root both sides. The square root of a squared is just a, and the square root of 100, what number times itself is 100? Well, 10 times 10 is 100, so a is equal to 10. Now, what if I had switched to, what if it was 8 squared plus 6 squared? Well, 8 squared would be 64, and 64 plus 36, well, the order doesn't matter here. The addition is commutative, so it didn't matter if I put 8 first or 6 first. As long as you put both legs in there, you'll still get the right answer. Okay. Up next is 5, 2, and L. And which side is the hypotenuse? Well, it's across from the right angle, so there's L is the hypotenuse. So I have 5 squared plus the other leg 2 squared equals L squared. Okay, 5 times 5, 25. 2 times 2 is 4 equals L squared. And 25 plus 4 is 29 equals L squared. And to find out L, I would square root both sides, and I get L equals the square root of 29. Now, what times itself is 29? Well, 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 5 is 25. That's too small. 6 times 6 is 36. That's too big. So it's somewhere between 5 and 6. If you want to get a more approximate answer, you could put it into a calculator and hit the square root button. But for our purposes, we're just going to leave it like this. We'll just say L is equal to the square root of 29. There will be some square roots that we like to simplify. But this has, since 29 actually does not factor, it does not break down into separate factors, it's a prime number actually. If one of those factors was a perfect square, then we could take it out of the radical, or out of the square root symbol. So we will come back to that in the next video. Now let's do this one. So B5 and 13. Which one's my hypotenuse? Well, I look across from the right angle. It's 13, so 13 squared is my hypotenuse, part of the Pythagorean Theorem. And then I have b squared plus 5 squared. Now this one's different than these other two, right? Before I was looking for the hypotenuse. Here I was looking for the hypotenuse. Now I'm looking for a leg. So you see how the equation has changed a little bit. I'm not just, the unknown isn't on that side, it's on this side now. But no different. B squared plus 5 times 5 is 25, and 13 times 13, I have this memorized, but if you don't, you can write it down and do your little multiplication tricks. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 1 is 3. Leave a placeholder. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. Add it together, you get 9. 3 plus 3 is 6. And 1. So 169 is 13 squared. Now to find b, I want to get it by itself. So to get rid of this 25, I'm going to undo adding 25. So I subtract 25 from both sides. And I get b squared plus 0, which is just b squared, equals 169 minus 25. So I subtract 25 away from 169. So 9 minus 5 is 4. 6 minus 2 is 4. And a 1. So I get b squared is 144. So square root both sides. What number times itself is 144? Well, 12 times 12 is 144. So b is 12. So this is a 5, 12, 13 triangle. Okay, last two. So this one says find the diagonal of a square. This happens a lot in math. We want to find some length of some geometry and it's not really given to us. So here they give us just one length. It's 1. That doesn't tell us anything else about the rest, but it is a square, so we know something about the properties of a square. All the sides are the same and all the angles are the same. So this would be 1 and this would be 1 and this would be 1. Now you have a right triangle in there if you look closely, and the right triangle can be used to find the side by the Pythagorean theorem. So this diagonal is unknown. They didn't give us a letter, but we can make one up. Let's just call it d. So 1 by d. So I have my leg squared, 1 squared, plus leg squared, 1 squared, equals the hypotenuse squared, which is across the right angle again, d squared. And so 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 equals d squared, so d itself, we would square root both sides and get d is the square root of 2. And that's how we leave it. Okay, last one. An equilateral triangle. Okay, so equilateral tells us something. That's kind of like the square of the triangle world. You know that this side is 2, then this side is 2, and this side is 2. So that's what equilateral means. It says find the area. What do we need to find the area? Well, we talked about this before, but area is 1/2 of the base times the height, or it's 1/2 of the rectangle that would have the same base and height, right? So I have the base as 2, but what is the height? Well, I need to find the height, and I can use the properties of right triangles, surprise, surprise, to find out that side, right? So if this is half of 2, it's 1, and this is 2, and this is my unknown side, we'll call it h for height. So I have h squared plus 1 squared equals 2 squared. And 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4. So I get h squared plus 1 equals 4. Subtract 1 from both sides, so I'm getting ahead of myself. H squared equals 4 minus 1 is 3. So then I square root both sides, and I get h is equal to the square root of 3. And that's how we get the height of an equilateral triangle. So, did I answer the question? No. Find the area. The area would be 1/2 the base, which is 2 times the height. And the height was square root of 3. So 1/2 times 2, well, 2 halves make a whole. These are just going to make a 1. So I get the area is the square root of 3. And I just made it onto the page.